We're at NBA 2K rating recap for February 9th, 2026, Monday's games. We've got 10 games to break down, plus we're going to do players of the week, starting off in the Western Conference. Steph Castle, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists last week, had 3 steals and a block, and did all that on only 27 minutes per game. Shot 63, 36, 77 from the field, 3 and free throw line. Led the Spurs to a 3-0 record. Had a game where he had 40, 12, and 12, career high 40 points, season high 12 rebounds. He's the youngest player in NBA history to record 40, 12, and 12. Previously held by Oscar Robertson, so 70-year-old record he's breaking. And then only second player in history to do that while also shooting 75% or better, which Wilt Chamberlain did 3 times. So yes, truly historic work by Castle last week. And I did give him a little bit of a badge update, notably on the defensive end, silver for menace and challenger, and then bronze for post lockdown and immovable enforcer. Basically, the Spurs are the number 3 defense in the NBA. So menace and challenger, like those could actually go higher with a little bit of film work. I didn't dive in on like some of the numbers or anything. It was just that there was 10 games that I had to break down. So I did a little bit of a cliff notes on his defense, but seems like he's much improved from his rookie year. And then post lockdown, the little bit of research I did showed that he's actually the number 2 among guards in post defense allowed, like points per possession, minimum 25 possessions, allowing 0.58 when he's defending post ups. And we're at a point in the league where 30 years ago everybody was a post player. Like that was half of how you got your offense. There was a lot of one-on-one basketball. Nowadays, post play is pretty much limited to like star players only. So he's guarding legit players like Jaylen Brown, Luka Doncic, Shea, Ant on the wing, and then he's actually guarding some big men in those possessions too. Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, Chet, Giannis, Alperen Şengün. So I did at least want to give him a bronze post lockdown. Obviously boosted up his post defense rating as well, and then immovable enforcer, kind of in the same vein as that. So I have him at an 88 overall, which is +4 from 2K Sports. They actually dropped him in the last roster update, which I think is kind of ludicrous. They don't really have a great understanding of player tiers. Where 85 to 89 is basically like all-star caliber players. Castle, if the West was a little weaker, like if he played in the Eastern Conference, he'd probably be getting a lot more buzz in that regard. But he certainly projects as a future all-star, given that he's only in his second season, only 20 years old. So they have him, 2K does, a point lower than Derek White, who's already like a low-level, like Eastern, borderline Eastern Conference all-star. They also have him a point higher than Nikola Vucevic, just going to show that they really don't understand player tiers and how players are actually valued in the NBA. So I have him as a top 4 shooting guard in the NBA. Of course, the league, a lot of shooting guards like Anthony Edwards, I have him listed at point guard because that's essentially where he's been playing this year. So just factoring in all of the guards total, he is a top 20 guard in the NBA, about 20th overall. So overall, really good stuff from him this year. And obviously, the Spurs are the second best team in the Western Conference and looking like they may push the OKC Thunder for a finals berth. And then in the Eastern Conference, Jalen Johnson won his second player of the week this season. He averaged 27, 12, and 11 last week, so triple-double averages, 54, 29, 75 shooting splits, led the Hawks to a 2-1 record, recorded his 10th triple-double this year, second in the NBA behind Nikola Jokic, who has 18. He's the Hawks franchise leader in triple-doubles. Nobody even has 10 total ever, much less 10 in a whole season. So he's been awesome this year. Has really took over the franchise player mantle from Trae Young, who's no longer with the team. So just a quick badge update on him. I do have him up to gold in float game. I bumped his slippery off ball up to silver, and then bronze. We've got Deadeye, Shifty Shooter, and post fade. Just all of that reflecting that he's doing a lot more on the ball in terms of his scoring this season. So really good stuff out of him. And then let's start off with our games. We've got 10 of those. It's a really marquee matchup between the Detroit Pistons, number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, and the Charlotte Hornets, who were on a 9-game winning streak. Pistons win 110 to 104. They moved to 39-13 on the season. But the big story of the game wasn't the game itself. It was that there was another Detroit involved in another brawl. We're going to call this one the Rumble at the Bumble, as it was in the Charlotte Hornets home stadium rather than the Palace. So Jalen Duren and Moussa Diabate, they got into it with basically those two guys headbutting each other, and then Duren like mushing his Diabate's face. So they went nuts, and then Miles Bridges went after Duren. So Beef Stew, he ended up leaving the bench to go after Bridges. So everyone got ejected from the game. They're looking at suspensions. Punches were thrown by pretty much everybody. So Stu, he's given his history. Also, the fact that he left the bench, that in itself is like an automatic suspension. But given his history of altercations, he could be looking at the most lengthy of suspensions. He also joined the fracas late, essentially like escalating things further, which does factor in with the way that the NBA kind of like looks at these things. Is they want you to be de-escalating once a situation starts, not escalating. So overall, just foolish from the Pistons, since they are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I imagine that their absences of Duren and Stewart aren't going to affect them too much in the standings, given that they have such a lead on the rest of the conference. I think it's like 7-game lead over the next teams, or maybe 5.5, something like that. So they should be fine. And plus, they played well. They have a ton of depth. So Paul Reed certainly is somebody who's probably going to look at a lot of playing time in the near future. He had 12 points in 18 minutes off the bench in this one. Tolu Smith has played well in like limited minutes this year. They brought back Isaac Jones on a 2-way, taking the place held by Donis Jenkins. So they definitely like him. Maybe he'll play a little bit. So Cade led the way with 33 points. Duren had 15 in only 20 minutes. Stu only played 11 minutes. Let's go on over to Charlotte to break things down from their side of the fight. They dropped to 25-29. Their win streak is over. Miller led the way with 24. Khan and LaMelo had 20 each. So their main guys still got theirs. But they are going to be without their starting front court for a little bit, it would seem. Diabate and Bridges only played 19 minutes each in this one. So Grant Williams, he stepped up, played 25 minutes in this one, scored 12 points. They actually closed the game with Williams at the 5 and Josh Green at the 4, running with the small ball lineup. So we'll see if they continue along with that in the next game. Tijan Salon, for what it's worth, was assigned to the G League for this game, so he was not available for this one. I assume that he'll be recalled. I think the plan was that he was going to play their next G League game, which is Wednesday. But I imagine that given the absences, they're probably going to want him with the main roster. So good opportunities for those guys moving forward. And also probably Ryan Kalkbrenner will return to the starting lineup for as long as Diabate is sidelined. Also, a decent opportunity for Xavier Tillman, who recently joined the team. He did not play in this one, but maybe they'll incorporate him in the next game. He definitely needs to salvage his career. It's kind of gone off the rails since leaving Memphis. Going over to Brooklyn, they moved to 15-37 on the year, 123-115 over the Bulls. They held out MPJ and Igor from this game, but it was not enough to out-tank Chicago as Nick Claxton just completely hosed Gershon Yabusele. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 12 of 15 from the field. Noah Clowney had 22 points. Danny Wolf got the start for Porter. He had 13. Nolan Traore had a career-high 13 assists, also added 13 points. So the pick-and-roll game between him and Claxton was obviously on point. And then Drake Powell added 14 off the bench. Terrence Mann started this one, but maybe they put Powell back there if his knee is feeling better. Of course, they have been starting Doman next to Traore at the 2 in general. Chicago, they dropped to 24 and 30. The tank is on, baby. Jalen Smith was out for this one, so Yabusele, he got the start at the 5. Had a decent first couple games with the Bulls, but struggled in this one. Only 3 points in 22 minutes. Got cooked by Claxton. He was a minus 17 overall in the game. Nick Richards was much more effective. 12.6 rebounds, 2 steals and 2 blocks. Played 26 minutes off the bench, and the Bulls were a plus 9 in his minutes by comparison. Anthony Simons, 23 points, 7 assists. Jaden Ivey, 13 points, 3 assists, 3 steals. I might swap their positions at some point. It's probably superfluous who's the 1 and who's the 2 in those lineups. Sexton adding 21 points in 32 minutes off the bench. Rob Dillingham having 8 points, 22 minutes. They're probably going to hold out Trey Jones and Josh Giddey through the All-Star break, is my guess, as they let the new guards all figure it out. Utah, they were not able to out-tank the opposing team in this one. They moved to 17 and 37 on the year, 115 to 111 over the shorthanded Miami Heat. Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Yusuf Nurkic all played only 25 minutes. None of them played past the midway point of the third quarter. They all sat the fourth quarter as Utah tried to throw this game and ultimately were not able to. So Jackson Jr. 17, Lauri 17, Nurkic double-doubled. But the kids, they got it done. Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh, Cody Williams, Ace Bailey, Kyle Filipowski were the closing 5. Keontae George also sat this one out as he's quote-unquote returning from a sprained ankle, even though he played in the last game. So I guess injury management or whatever the Jazz want to call their bullshit. But the Jazz currently have the 6th worst record in the NBA, but they should be better than that, given that they were throwing games well before they traded for Jaren Jackson Jr. There are 3 teams, the Mavericks, Grizzlies, and Bucks, that are all within 4 wins of them. So if they were trying to win games, they would be giving up their top 8 protected pick for sure. I'm personally hoping that Utah loses their pick. If you don't want to win games, don't trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. then. Trade for him in the offseason, not during the regular season. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. The thing is, if the Jazz keep the pick, the obligation disappears. They don't have to owe the pick at all in the future, which is why they're so dead set on continuing to tank to keep it. But the way that they're tanking is just so unnatural, and like it's against the competitive spirit of the game. That it's just really bad optics for the league. Obviously, there needs to be some form of lottery overhaul to take away the incentives for teams to be doing this. But overall, it's just gross, and nobody should be paying money for Jazz tickets if their teams are going to be throwing games. There are plenty of other teams that tank ethically or don't hold players out, like Boston Celtics. They are winning games this year, even though Jason Tatum has been out. They have a great system. They could have easily gone the way of the Pacers and, just been awful this year the same way. Halliburton has the same exact injury with a torn Achilles, but Celtics are trying to win games. They are 2nd or 3rd in the Eastern Conference for most of the year. If you're a Jazz fan, please go, root for an ethical team like the Celtics, who has a great organization and doesn't need to do stupid shit to get lottery picks. Although the Celtics, of course, tried to do that earlier when 20x years ago, when Tim Duncan was when they had 2 first-round picks in the Tim Duncan draft, and then the Spurs ended up getting the number 1 pick that year. So the tanking gods, the NBA gods, do see you when you try to do this. So it's just not worth it, man. Miami, they dropped to 28 and 27. They're pretty short-handed in this one. Khalil Ware got the start, also because the Jazz, they've run a big lineup, obviously. So the Heat went with more size. They actually started Ware at the 5, pushing Bam to the 4. And then Simone Fontecchio was the starting 3, with Wiggins essentially playing the starting 2 guard rather than the starting 4, which he has been a lot of the year. So Ware was not effective, fouled out in 14 minutes, 8 points, 6 rebounds. So still continuing to draw the ire of Coach Spo, I'm sure. Bam had 23. Wiggins had 26. Powell and all of the guards were out in this one, which is essentially what also led them to run with the bigger lineup. Yakashonis, he had 20 points off the bench in 32 minutes, with 6 of 10 from 3. He was 6 of 6 in the last game, so he's 12 of 16 from 3 over the last 2 games, bringing his season 3-point percentage from 39% all the way up to 47%. So I do have a rating boost for him. He's up to a 75. The kicker with him is, though, he's only 2 for 21 from 3 to 23 feet, which is 10%, 9%, something like that. So, yeah, pretty brutal inside the arc. Obviously, pretty small sample, only 21 shots. He's a part-time player. But, yeah, it's actually kind of funny because he's, if anything, he was drafted, like he was always a better interior scorer, has a good floater, etc. And he was only like an average 3-point shooter last year in college. So this is kind of an invert of what he did last year. But again, small samples. That's probably all going to level out over the next 2 months or so of the year. Going over to the other side of Florida, we've got the Orlando Magic moving to 28-24 on the year with a 118-99 win over the Bucks, ending the Bucks' 3-game winning streak. Franz Wagner made his return. He came off the bench, had 14 points in 17 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field. He'll probably come off the bench for at least through the break, at the very least, as he gets his body reacclimated. But also, like, the starting unit for the Magic have been pretty effective. And Anthony Black, 26, Desmond Bane, 25, Jalen Suggs, 10 assists, 5 steals. So yeah, I would just continue to bring Wagner off the bench, maybe even over the rest of the season until the playoffs, or at least until somebody else suffers an injury. I'm sure Jalen Suggs will tweak something at some point, and then we'll go back to Franz starting and Anthony Black at the 1. But Magic looking to make a little bit of a run over the last 2 months, get themselves up further in the standings. Milwaukee, I don't know if they want to win games or lose games, given we don't know what's going on with Giannis, whether or not they want to qualify for the play-in or not. But they dropped to 21-30. Cam Thomas made his debut. Quiet game, 4 points, 1 of 5 from the field. He was subbing for Kevin Porter Jr. It would be an affront to the basketball gods if those two ever shared the court at the same time. So I did switch KPJ over to the 1, Rollins at the 2. Just so, I mean, Porter's essentially been playing the 1, but he has more size than Ryan Rollins, which is why I kind of had him at the 2. But really the main thing is I switched over Cam Thomas. He's been a 2 for most of his career, but with the Bucks, he's essentially a 1, although he does play with Ryan Rollins on that second unit. So you could argue that, like, Rollins is the 1 in those lineups, but substitution pattern wise, this makes more sense. Porter, for what it's worth, 28 points, 7 assists, showing Cam Thomas the fully formed version of what a chucker really is supposed to look like. Worth noting that Gary Trent Jr. was a DNP CD in this one, so Cam basically took all of his minutes. Gary Harris is the backup shooting guard moving forward, as he is one of the only guys who can play like a defense on this team. Going over to Minnesota, they moved to 33-22 on the season. 138-116 over the Hawks. Much needed win for the Wolves. 7 players in double figures. Edwards led the way with 30. Randall triple-doubled with 18, 12, and 10. No Jalen Johnson for the opposition. Hawks were pretty short-handed in the front court, so that's part of why it was an easy win for the Wolves. Ayo Dosunmu had 21 points in 30 minutes off the bench. I would not be totally surprised if he started over DiVincenzo at some point, as he is more of a 1 than DiVincenzo, at which point I could then swap Edwards back to his natural position. We'll see what happens over the next 2 months plus playoffs. Atlanta, they dropped to 26-29. As mentioned, they were without Jalen Johnson, but also Dyson Daniels, which is pretty pivotal again in a matchup against Anthony Edwards. So CJ McCollum, he got the start in this one and had a Hawks, his high with the Hawks. He had, I think, a 40-point game with the Wizards earlier in the year. So it's not a season high, but season high with the Hawks. 38 points in 33 minutes. Nickeil Alexander-Walker added 23 points, had 12 rebounds, also 5 assists. But they didn't get a ton much else of help. Ricochet, once again, another dud, 3 points, 1 of 9 from the field. Asen Newell got the start for Jalen Johnson, still without Jonathan Kuminga through the break as well. 2 points in only 25 minutes. Obviously had a tough matchup against Julius Randle in this one. Hawks overall shot only 40% from the field, gave up 60% from the field to Minnesota. New Orleans Pelicans, they moved to 15-40 on the year, 120-94 over the Sacramento Kings. I saw this coming a mile away, as the Kings have nothing to play for, and they are currently seeded for the number 1 pick in the draft and surely want to hold on to that. Whereas the Pels, they don't have their pick, having traded it to the Hawks in the Derek Queen trade, so they want to win as many games as possible. So they are 5-5 over their last 10 games. Utah's best hope of keeping their pick probably is that the Pels keep winning games and pass them in the standings. Jazz have 17 wins, Pels have 15. So Zion led the way with 18.6 assists. Trey Murphy 21. Jeremiah Fears had 20 off the bench. Going over to Sacramento, 13-game losing streak for them. They're letting go of the rope, playing the kids more than they were previously. Domantas Sabonis out again. He's going to be out through the All-Star break. Levine and Monk were also out, and DeAndre Hunter, recently acquired by the team, but he's already hurt. He injured he got poked in the eye or something, so he's going to be out the next 7 to 10 days. Maxime Reynaud led the way with 21 points and 19 rebounds. Nick Clifford moving into the starting lineup. Precious Achiuwa, who was a DNP CD after Hunter was acquired, he's back in the starting lineup. Not a lot of shooting in this one, so even worse spacing than what the Pelicans typically offer. So yeah, Kings lose their 13th consecutive game. I'm not sure what their franchise record is. Kings have been pretty bad at various points in their history, so I'm sure 13 is not close to the franchise record, but it might be getting up there soon. I'll try to research that before the next video. Cleveland, they moved to 33-21 with a 119-117 win over the Nuggets. 4-game winning streak for them. They are red hot, 9-1 in their last 10, 1.5 games behind the Knicks and Celtics for the 2nd and 3rd seed, so they are definitely making a playoff push. James Harden in his 2nd game with the Cavs, 22-10-7, hit the game-tying three-pointer late, and then Donovan Mitchell had 32 points, 10 assists. He hit the game-winning free throws to put them over the Nuggets. Jarrett Allen, 22 points, 13 rebounds, likewise has been great in pick and roll with James Harden. So Harden, for the last, since joining the Clippers, he hasn't had a great roller, having to play with Ivica Zubac for that time, more of a post player than a roller. So Jarrett Allen, definitely a great fit next to Harden in the lineup. So certainly somebody whose rating could be climbing in the near future. For what it's worth, Cleveland going with a small ball lineup right now, as Mobley is sidelined. So they're going with Sam Merrill back at the 3 and Jalen Tyson at the 4. Denver, of course, all of their power forwards are hurt, so that's certainly a team where the Cavs can get away with that. Jokic, his 18th triple-double, had 22, 14, and 11. Christian Brown had his best game of the year, I think, 20 points. Jamal Murray, 17 and 11 assists. And then Julian Strawther continues to start. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 8 of 16 from the field in 29 minutes. They still haven't converted Spencer Jones. So I did not have that on my bingo card. So I'm going to actually put him back on the two-way. They might be playing a little hardball with him. But if Strawther's playing well, technically I guess they don't really need him on the standard contract yet until they actually need to play him basically the next time somebody gets hurt. which the way the Denver Nuggets season has gone, they shouldn't be playing with fire too much here, but they do save money on their cap the longer they wait to convert Spencer Jones. So certainly that's probably a little bit of a factor for them, always a little bit cost conscious. They have one of the cheapest owners in the NBA. Golden State, they moved to 28-25 of the 114-113 win over the Grizz. Steph Curry's dealing with runner's knee. He's going to be out through the break and will need an all-star replacement. Pat Spencer continues to start in his absence at 17 points and 7 assists. Probably need to get his rating up a tick or two. D'Anthony Melton, he's also now locked in as a starting 2 guard. He had 10 points. Guy Santos, 16 points for him. I finally got a rating in on him. 77 overall, which is +5 from where 2K Sports has him at. It's fucking pathetic that 2K has him that low, considering they're Warriors homers. It just goes to show how bad they are at ratings. Like, what are we fucking doing, guys? Like this, it's not hard to just pay attention to what's going on around the league, but I don't know what they look at. Will Richard? Well, because Guy Santos, I guess, is not really a box score type of player, more of an energy guy. So, they ran to boost up Will Richard earlier in the year, but they have Santos as low as 72, even though he's starting for them over the last couple games, and is probably a better overall player than Will Richard. Has been on the team for, this is now his third year. So, yeah, it's just disgraceful that he's even that low to begin with, as he's been having a pretty good year. Al Horford, he came off the bench, had one of his better games, 16, 9, and 6. Porzingis still not available. Draymond Green has been starting at the 5 ever since the trade deadline, which has opened up the starting role for Santos. Memphis, they dropped to 20-31. Ty Jerome returning to the starting lineup, 19 points, 7 assists. Scottie Pippen Jr. came off the bench with 11 points, 4 assists, 4 steals, but he started the third quarter next to Jerome. So I did switch his position over. I'm probably going to be back and forth with all of the guards. I was originally going to have Camp Spencer at the 2, with Pippen at the 2, at the 1, but Cedric Coward, he actually left this game with a knee, I don't know about injury, but issue, as he had like some pain. So he didn't like hurt himself or anything during the game. My guess is he's just like shut down for the rest of the week until after the All-Star break. So maybe Pippen Jr. Is the starter over the rest of the week. Jemima Shock, he was pretty good in his expanded role, 17 points, 2 steals in 22 minutes, 8 of 10 from the field. So he's certainly somebody who could figure in if Coward misses some time. And Taylor Hendricks also had his best game as a Grizz, 15 points, 10 rebounds. I did shuffle the positions a little bit, moved Kyle Anderson over to the 5 as he's starting there. Gigi Jackson at the 4. He's been there for the last couple games as Santi Aldama has been out with injury. I slid over KCP as they just need to have a backup small forward. And obviously, if we're moving over like one of the guards over to the 2, then we should actually shuffle KCP over just so the depth chart makes a little bit more sense on this team. OKC, they got a big win over the Lakers, 119-110. They got their 41st win of the season, 41-13 on the year. Jalen Williams made his return to the lineup after missing the last couple weeks, 23 points. Chet Holmgren, 13-10. Isaiah Joe, adding 19 off the bench. And then Alex Caruso, his best offensive game of the season, 17 points on 7 of 8 from the field. When the guys on the bench are playing well for OKC, they're generally going to win games. The Lakers, they dropped to 32-20. They would love to have a guy like Caruso or an Isaiah Joe. Their second unit really hasn't given them much this season. Luka was out again, so LeBron starting at the 1. 22, 6, and 10 for him. Austin Reeves continuing to come off the bench, 16 points, 7 assists for him. Portland, they got a big win over the Sixers, moving to 26-28 on the year, 135-118. They scored 49 points in the third quarter to kind of run away with it. Toumani Camara had a career-high 30 points. was 10 of 12 from the field, 8 of 10 from 3, had 3 steals as well in this one. But as you can see, the big story for them is Denny Avdia made his return to the lineup, had 26, 10, and 8. Drew Holiday remained with the starters, had 13 and 7 and 7, while Shaedon Sharpe currently out. I would imagine it's going to be interesting to see what happens once Sharpe is back in the lineup when he recovers from his calf injury, what they do there. But on top of that, Scoot Henderson also was solid off the bench, 12 points, 7 assists, 20 minutes. The Blazers are loaded at guard. Look out for them. They are 3 games behind Golden State for 8th. But again, worth noting that Steph Curry is missing time now, so certainly Portland could pass them in the standings. And then Dame Lillard, not related to his ratings, or he's not going to be ready to play or anything, but he is going to be part of All-Star Weekend. He's going to be in the 3-point shootout. It's probably the main thing that you'll want to pay attention to on Saturday night, as the dunk contest field is awful. They disbanded the skills challenge, so yeah, I would love to see Dame show out and win the shootout in a year that he's recovering from a torn Achilles. It's the only action that we'll get to see from him this year, so should be an awesome moment over the weekend. And then Philly, they dropped to 30 and 23. Embiid, Barlow, and Quentin Grimes all out. So Maxey leading the way with 30 points, but kind of struggling to get contributions from elsewhere. Trendon Watford, he got the start against his former team, had 12 points, 5 of 7 from the field in 25 minutes. But VJ Edgecombe struggled offensively, 11 points on 3 of 13 from the field. Marjon Beauchamp, filling in for Quentin Grimes off the bench, had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, had 3 steals. Did all that in only 20 minutes, so he could figure in to the outskirts of the rotation moving forward. It is worth noting that Kyle Lowry also appears to be in the rotation for the moment, as they don't have much in the way of guard depth right now. They definitely need to add somebody on the buyout market, so not exactly sure who that's going to be. Maybe, I don't think Lonzo Ball even makes a ton of sense. They let go of Eric Gordon, so they can't re-sign him. Malachi Branham, Dalen Terry, those guys are raw. Maybe somebody will take a flyer on them with 2 ways, but yeah, not a lot out there right now. It was reported that Cole Anthony might be waived by the Suns, so maybe he would be somebody who would fit in with the Sixers, just as somebody who can spell Tyrese Maxey. But yeah, they need somebody to get them through the rest of the regular season. And we're going to wrap it up. There's only 4 games on Tuesday, but they're all really nice marquee games. We've got the Knicks against the Pacers. Knicks are 9-1 in their last 10. Pacers, 4-game losing streak. We've got the Clippers versus the Rockets. Clippers, it's going to be the debuts for Benedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson. So that should be nice to look at. We'll see what they do lineup-wise. We've got the Mavericks versus the Suns. Cooper Flagg versus Dylan Brooks and Devin Booker. And then San Antonio on a 4-game winning streak going up against the Lakers. We'll see if Luka is ready to go for that one. And then we've got 14 teams playing on Wednesday. I'm sorry, not 14 teams, 14 games on Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be a huge breakdown, and then only 3 games on Thursday before we head into the All-Star break. We're going to be taking a week off from the NBA will be from Thursday on. I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking a week off or not, or if I'm going to do some team-focused videos during that stretch. I have been knocking out all of the player ratings for various teams. Right now, I've got all of the ratings in for everybody through the Celtics. I'm going to knock out Isaiah Jackson and Mathurin on the Clippers today as well, to give essentially the first 6 teams chronologically. We'll have full ratings updates, so maybe I'll dive in with some of these teams during the week. We'll figure it out. Thanks again for watching this year. I will see you guys later tonight. Peace.